Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Airport Safety Week 2020. This year's theme is airports. We are in this together, and today's theme is maintaining airport safety through COVID-19. For those who don't know me, my name is Sam Layton. I am Industry Development Manager and Regional Airports Manager here at the AAA. The COVID-19 pandemic requires a uniquely focused approach to work health and safety, as it applies to business, staff, and others in the workplace. Business and workers must actively control against the transmission of COVID-19 while at work, consistent with the latest advice from the Australian Health Protection Principle Committee, including considering the application of a hierarchy of appropriate controls where relevant. Businesses and workers must prepare for the possibility that there will be cases of COVID-19 in the workplace, as well as be ready to respond immediately. Airport Safety Week will run from today until Friday the 23rd, and we're looking forward to seeing you all participate and all of the photos and any fantastic stories that you would like to share with the AAA. Make sure you visit the airports.asn.au/Airport Safety Week to download the latest resources, as well as have a look at our toolbox talks and our downloadable posters, etc. Follow the AAA on social media to take part in the Airport Photo of the Day competition and share your images and videos using hashtag ASW 2020. We also have a daily quiz, which is launched as part of Airport Safety Week daily updates. You could have the chance to win a $100 Visa gift card, so make sure you have registered to take part in Airport Safety Week to get the daily quiz delivered straight to your inbox. Before we commence with today's webinar, I would like to introduce James Goodwin, AAA CEO. Welcome, James.
Thanks, Sam, and welcome to everybody. So welcome to Airport Safety Week. As Sam mentioned, look, this is a difficult time, a difficult year for everybody, and Airport Safety Week is going to be different to what it's been in the past, but I think we've seen the aviation sector, we've seen the resilience of the sector and the innovation from the sector as well to be able to maintain the services and maintain these sorts of activities. So well done to everyone for doing that and for participating. It's certainly an unprecedented time, but the health and the safety of both the staff and the travelling public are essential. I flew last week and it was great to see the efforts of the airports and also the airline staff to make sure that people were feeling safe and confident. So this year, I think Airport Safety Week is slightly different in that we've got a higher concentration of issues in regards to wellness and our mental health safety, and that's a good thing for us to take stock and remember that that is also an important element of having a safe workforce. But that doesn't stop all those other safety, issues. We've maintained the safety of the aviation network despite revenue losses and despite many job cuts across the sector. So that's an important message to get out during Airport Safety Week, that the safety of flying has not changed and it will not change. We'll maintain those highest possible standards. So wish you all the best. Like to hear the stories from throughout the week and also see who wins the quizzes. So thanks, Sam, and well done to everybody for participating.
Thank you so much, James. And yes, would like to echo James's comments regarding Australia's commitment, Australian airports' commitment to safety, even through such an unprecedented time with COVID-19. So we will get through now to the day's webinar, Airport Technology Concepts to Enhance Security and Improve the Passenger Experience. I'm pleased to introduce our presenters for today. We have Stu, who is the Regional Manager, Airports, Australia Pacific for Collins Aerospace. Stu has worked in the aviation industry for almost 30 years, having worked for both current major Australian airlines and a number of airline airport vendors. He understands the local landscape intimately. Stu holds an Executive MBA and a Certificate of Digital Business Transformation. In addition, we have Rob, who is based in Annapolis, Maryland, in the Information Management Services business responsibilities. I beg your pardon, sorry. So his responsibilities include supporting strategic planning, acquisitions, technology evaluation, marketing programs, and new business case development for the airport, surface, transportation, and critical infrastructure businesses. Robert joined the company in 2001 as Director of Corporate Business Development, where he was active in numerous new business evaluations and new product launches throughout the company. There are some downloads available within the handout section, including a copy of today's presentation, so feel free to download these. Stu, I do welcome you now, and Rob as well. So please, everybody, enjoy the webinar, and thanks again, Rob and Stu.
Thank you so much, Sam, and welcome everybody to Airport Safety Week. On behalf of Collins Aerospace, I'd just like to extend a very warm welcome to everybody. And I know we're very excited today to share some of our recent concept designs and get your feedback as key stakeholders in this environment. So let me just go on ahead here and start by sharing my screen. So now I've got that up, I will make a start with the presentation. So as I said, welcome to today's session. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to introduce you to some of the latest digital concepts that we use to enhance safety and improve the passenger experience in the airport environment. Many of these are being developed out of our digital accelerator. I'll let Robert first share a few thoughts on the background of the digital accelerator before I then go on to outline each concept and provide each of you the opportunity to contribute. So firstly, why are we here? I'd like to take a second to really clarify the intent behind today's presentation. We are here to understand your perspective on passenger needs and business challenges. We're here to get feedback on early stage concepts and ideas for passengers and airport operations. And we are here to help collaborate to refine concepts to better satisfy customer and user needs. We're definitely not here to sell you anything, so you don't need to worry there. We're not here to guarantee that any of the future state concepts or features that you see today are an exact representation of what might be brought to market at a later date. These are still in development. And we are definitely not here to detract from current physical safety processes. As mentioned by Sam and James previously, please remember all airports are encouraged to follow currently endorsed health guidelines. And with that, I'll hand over briefly to Rob, who can talk about some of the key technology areas that we're working at the moment.
Thanks, Stu. Starting back in March, when we all saw the trouble ahead, we as a company started working very diligently to say and try to do things that will help your operations and help your passengers return to flying when the pandemic settled down. So we've taken an approach that really starts at the beginning of a passenger's journey to the end of the journey. And so the company, our company has grown over time, and I'll introduce you to a couple of the parts of our company that have rallied together to really look at this holistic end-to-end journey. So the group that Stu and I work with is our airports group, and we have focused on the process of the passenger through the airport, the check-in process, the getting through the airport efficiently, the boarding process. But there's other parts of our company that focus on the interiors of aircraft, and they are focused to try to make the journey on board the aircraft as pleasant, as safe as possible. So some of the work they're doing, just to touch on it, is looking at how clean are the aircraft? How do we make them cleaner? How do we take some of the current systems and take advantage of them? How do we decontaminate the aircraft quickly and so you don't have long turnaround times? Our power and controls division works on air management systems, and the research is finding that the actual air circulation on board aircraft is highly clean. and is very safe. So I wanted to introduce these to you just to let you know that we're not just focused on one part of this journey, because the passenger really is going to be focused on how is the entire journey going to be for me to come back and travel. But today we're going to talk more about airports. We have help within our company. We're fortunate to have a very excellent brand new group out of Brooklyn, New York City, called the Digital Accelerator, the DX. And we have collaborated with the Digital Accelerator, and this is a drawing of their building just over the Brooklyn Bridge from Manhattan. So if anyone been to New York, it's a brand new revitalized part of New York City in Brooklyn. And the Digital Accelerator has some really interesting components to them, and I wanted to give you some brief overview of that because they're helping us help you. So one thing they do is accelerate the development of solutions. So that's part of what they're put on, is to help all the parts of our company go faster, because we know you need new solutions now. They help us build those solutions. They help design them and build them and really figure out a way to get them into the markets as quickly as possible. And lastly, they help us launch them. They help us do the necessary work to have quality products and services to push into the market to help solve real problems that are going on. So some of the main focus areas for the Digital Accelerator, again, Raytheon and Collins Aerospace is a very large company. So they also focus on aircraft and the performance of aircraft and the performance of airlines. So fleet performance is one of the big areas the Digital Accelerator works on. But the connected ecosystem, which is very close to Stu and I, is how do we make all the different parts of the aviation industry communicate better, talk better. We have major stakeholders in airports that you're all members and operate in, but your airlines and your governments and other airlines and other governments, all this has to work together. And we're finding in the COVID recovery, it's going to be more important than ever to make sure we're all communicating and we're all connected in one ecosystem. The Digital Accelerator, as well as our company, is looking at what are the digital solutions that we can build that will help operate and make more efficient the environments that the passengers that you're trying to get to come back are operating as efficiently as possible. And lastly, they also work on just basic technology, so foundational capabilities, technologies, and new ways to take technologies that are emerging in other markets and help them bring them into the aviation market. So they take the human-centered approach, and again, in this case, it's around the passenger. So we're in the process of doing a lot of field research. We're talking to a lot of airports, a lot of your peers, to really understand the problems, the very specific and some of the brand new problems that have occurred with COVID. There's a lot of research with passengers themselves. Again, we're trying to understand what exactly is going to make the passenger feel confident to come back and travel. What are the specific things that they're concerned about? And lastly, putting some innovation and trying new things and really pushing out some new solutions that will attack the new problems, but also have a long-term benefit to all the participants, whether it be the passenger, the airport, the airline, or the government. So why are we here? You know, we are, again, focused mainly on figuring out what it's going to take for the traveling public to feel good about traveling again. There's a lot of anxiety, and passengers are looking for new information, new forms of support. They're just not comfortable in crowds. They're not comfortable in congested places. So the research we're doing and some of the concepts we're going to be sharing are really meant to help you and help your passengers feel confident again, lower the anxiety, and give them new sources of information and new tools to help them go through their journey in a safe and more confident way. So what are some of those needs that we're detecting? And they don't want to interact with a lot of people. So being able to get through the airport and not have to interact and not have to touch a lot of surfaces is an important part of giving them again a new environment to come back to. So minimize my interactions is the first one. They want to be safe. They want to know that other travelers around them are as healthy as they can be, that there is nobody too close to you. And social distancing in the airport is going to be a challenge for some airports, especially when the volumes of passengers come back. So what do we do about that? What other approaches can we take? And keep them informed. Passengers want to know that they know what's coming. They know that the next step of their journey, they have a clear idea of what's going on. So we're going to show you some concepts and some technology that we think will help passengers stay more informed and again be more confident about the environment they're going to go back into. So again, what we need to do is look at the entire airport operation. We need to make sure if there's new guidelines for them to follow, if they're supposed to be wearing masks, that they're wearing masks. If they have to be socially distant, that the environment is set up to do that. Biometrics, we believe, is one of the technologies that can help reduce the interaction with other people, with airport staff. And again, it's something that's already in use and it can be broadened. But then optimizing the flow of passengers, reducing the lines that they have to wait in. Technology can help start attacking these types of problems. So that's kind of the approaches we're taking. And lastly, we need to make, for now, people don't want to touch kiosks. They don't want to be exchanging documents and boarding passes and passports with other people. They want to have a safe environment to just get through the airport, get onto the aircraft, get to their destination, and get home again. So again, that's the entire slivers that we're looking at to try to improve within the airport and airline operation.
Thank you so much for those words, Rob. So sure. As we move through 2020, the key objectives of the passenger journey as we see them. We want to reduce or eliminate contact transactions through the airport journey. We know self-service solutions put the passenger in control of their processes, and biometrics provide a document-less experience, reducing ID and document checks. We want to enhance the passenger experience to provide a seamless passenger journey via the least congested route. We do that through evaluating and minimizing congestion of the overall process. And we provide new tools to enable improved monitoring of airport congestion areas. We want to extend off-airport processing opportunities. This increases the availability of check-in and baggage drops away from the main terminal, again reducing congestion in that main area. And lastly, we want to look at supporting the implementation of emerging technologies, such as fever detection or artificial intelligence, etc. So we can provide passenger screening options to reduce infection spread, or provide new functionalities using data sets that are simply too big for the human brain to process. So Robert, would you like to show us some examples of where we're currently deploying these kind of technologies?
Sure. So prior to the pandemic, the problems that airports and airlines were having was congestion, was too many people and the same amount of space. So prior to that, we were deploying self-service solutions, as Stu mentioned, for check-in, for baggage drops, for pre-security checks. These are solutions that were put in place starting 10 years ago to really help the passenger get through the airport themselves, be able to minimize the number of staff that had to interact with passengers. Most passengers can do this journey themselves if we give them the tools. So a lot of these solutions have been in place and are in place, and adding biometrics to those solutions have improved their ability to handle larger volumes of passengers through the same size airports, because the passenger numbers were growing. COVID comes, and all of a sudden passengers need a different experience. It's not about volume, it's about getting through the journey, not touching anything, not interacting with staff if they don't have to, really controlling their own journey. And these are just examples, and this is going on throughout the world and throughout the aviation industry, is the deployment of self-service and biometric solutions, and more the use of the passenger's mobile phone to do more to help them control that journey themselves. And so we wanted to give you some examples, because this is spreading, and it was happening before, and the same business case that was true before is true now. It's just for different reasons, and passengers have a different set of needs. But when the passengers come back in higher volumes, you're going to want to get them through the airport from the curb to the boarding gate as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
Thanks for that, Robert. So I'll take a few minutes now to go through some of the passenger-facing solutions that we've been looking at. So I'll start off by showing you again this journey of the what we call the connected airport. So we can see that the connected airport at each of these touch points, it's enabled by digital and physical products and services at these key touch points. Some of the solutions are existing, others are new. Each concept or solution can be standalone, or it can be packaged together to form a holistic offering. And as we can see, at each stage of the passenger journey, we're addressing those key needs, and each of those solutions is enabled by multiple digital platforms, such as Robert mentioned, consumer mobile devices or biometrics platforms or self-service solutions. So the first concept I'd like to talk about today, I'm actually quite excited about this one, I think this is a great idea, is mobile dynamic airport wayfinding. This concept is a mobile airport planning and navigation service that helps passengers feel safer and more confident about flying by giving them transparent information on what to expect, with the ability to pre-plan their airport journey and safely navigate to their gate once they arrive. Key features of this platform include you can follow a personalized airport itinerary that tells you when to leave certain areas based on estimated wait times for things like check-in, bag drop, and security. You can get easy to follow directions for the most efficient route to your gate and other points of interest, such as food and amenities, that's based on your personal likes and preferences. And you can view an airport map that will highlight crowded hotspots and help you navigate around them. Robert, anything to add with this one before I move on?
Yeah, and wayfinding does exist, but this is really taking wayfinding to the next level and providing more information about congestion, for example, to give them, again, the comfort that they know where they're going and what they're about to get into, to give them that improved journey through the airport.
Exactly. And we envisage these kind of applications as either being through the airport authority or through your partner airlines, or the two of you together can actually partner to co-develop these systems for your particular airport for a specific airline customer as well. So it's a great opportunity for collaboration as well. So off-airport self-service has been spoken about for a long time. Our vision of this is an expedited check-in service that enables passengers to complete their check-in and bag drop process before they even arrive at the terminal, either at a convenient off-airport location, such as a parking garage, a hotel, or a convention center, or using a white glove delivery service at your door to avoid crowds and long lines at the airport. Key features here would include the app would allow you to easily locate the most convenient off-airport check-in location near you. You could avoid carrying your luggage to the airport by dropping it off at an airport kiosk and retrieving it at the baggage claim at your destination. And of course, you can upgrade to a white glove service that picks up your luggage at your door and delivers it straight to your destination. Robert?
Yeah, again, I think this is something that is expanding. Different parts of the world are moving faster than others, but they're realizing, especially a lot of the airports that have trains that are connecting passengers into the airports directly, they're finding that they can have check-in all the way back to the train station and secure the bags there. And again, prevent the passenger from having to, if they have a large family and they're going on a vacation, having to take all the luggage onto the train, then find the check-in process. It's just a simplified journey, but the goal is to make the terminals less congested. So these are creative ways of moving it a little bit farther out. And it could still be on the airport property, as Stu mentioned, at a rental car facility and a parking lot. We've seen different situations where this has been adapted to very nicely.
That's right. And we do understand that there are complications and challenges the further you get away from the terminal environment. And we know that there are companies locally and internationally that are handling those challenges very, very well. I know in the domestic sense, this has been purely in the realm of an airline product, but we do see the value proposition here as transferring this to being an airport product, whereby you as airport vendors can partner with local organizations near you to be able to provide that service. So contactless check-in kiosks and bag drops. This is an existing solution that we've already rolled out for a number of customers globally. So this is a kiosk that passengers control directly from their own mobile devices, obviously minimizing contact with surfaces at the airport. Key features of this product include the passenger would scan a QR code on the kiosk screen to launch a web-based mobile application. They then control the kiosk by navigating the commands directly on their device or using the device as a remote mouse to click on the screen. They can also print boarding passes and bag tags through the mobile commands without having to touch the kiosk. Robert, anything to expand on this one?
Yeah, this is in trials, and passengers are really liking it, and it's very, very simple for them. There's nothing they have to download. It's basically scan the barcode and take over the control. I really think that this was a weak spot in the journey, is having to touch a kiosk in order to print a bag tag or to change your seat. So any of those types of interactions on the kiosk, this allows them to just do it on their mobile phones, standing in front of the kiosk. They do still have to attach their their bag tag to their bag, but then they can then go into a bag drop with biometrics again. It recognizes you, you drop your bag, and then you're on to the next step. So this is something that I think all the airports with all their kiosks are beginning to implement, and it looks like a very positive thing from passengers.
Exactly. And what the key here is that the passenger controls it via their own personal device. We have evaluated other technologies and other methods of doing it, and we found that it just wasn't natural and it slowed down the process. And so by encouraging people to use their own devices, the buy-in is a lot higher. So virtual queuing is a very interesting concept. This is a mobile service that virtually queues passengers at key airport checkpoints to reduce crowding in those areas and speed up processing in those typically congested areas. Key features include Passengers can be assigned or even select a designated arrival time slot at a certain checkpoint, such as security or even boarding. They can view a countdown timer of their appointment window and get notified when it's their turn to proceed to a designated checkpoint. And they can then locate and get directions to their assigned checkpoint or nearby amenities while they wait for their appointment. Robert?
Yeah, this one is attracting a lot of attention. Here in the United States, the TSA is looking at this because they recognize part of the unpredictable passenger journey is how long will the security lines be. Sometimes they're long and sometimes they're short, and no one could quite predict that. Having new technologies, new mobile phone apps that allow those passengers to know, those times and how long they'll have to wait. And again, trying to spread people out and efficiently use the resources is part of the key here. Is new tools that, again, give the control back to the passenger and not have them feel like they don't really know how long it'll take to go from the front to the back of the airport.
Exactly. So what we'd like to do now, I'll very quickly just run you back through the last few concepts that we've showed you. So we had the mobile dynamic airport wayfinding. We had the off-airport self-service concept. We had the contactless check-in kiosk, and we have the virtual queuing. So I'm going to hand over control back to the AAA team, and they're going to launch a poll to just ask each of you which of those you might find the most valuable in your own environment. I think they normally just give us a minute or two to get our responses to these ones. So if you have a look and select a single response there, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I'll now press forwards and we will continue looking at some other concepts. So the next one we have, it's another dynamic airport wayfinding product, but it's integrated into the IDS system. So this is an enhanced IDS offering that uses visual cues and real-time occupancy information to reduce crowding and encourage passengers to maintain social distancing. Key features here include the system updates in real time to reflect actual occupancy levels or wait times at specific locations and help passengers navigate to less crowded areas. It can project directional paths and visual cues to guide passenger traffic and direct passenger flow through certain areas of the airport. Robert?
Yeah, I traveled just recently to visit family in Atlanta. You've often experienced this probably, where you come off of a flight and you want to go to the restroom before you're going to go on the rest of your journey. Typically, the restroom closest to your gate is packed with people because they're all the people that just came off your flight. Giving the information on signs to allow people to know that there's a 2-minute walk to the next restroom that's not crowded, again, is an example of the information that can be available and made, provide that real-time congestion information to the passengers to give them alternatives a little bit farther downstream to where they're heading to pick up their bag or to catch their ride. So again, I think these are some of the integration using existing systems, but with some new inputs about congestion. I think is really, it is a great new area for everyone to look at.
Indeed, indeed. And the last one we have in the passenger solutions area is a baggage claim, baggage tracking application. So this is a mobile baggage tracking service that gives passengers insight into the location of their luggage, and it helps them seamlessly recover their belongings in case they're mishandled along the way. Key features here will include passengers can receive accurate carousel assignments and wait time information on their mobile device for a post-flight pickup at a baggage claim. They can receive proactive alerts if the luggage is mishandled and submit an electronic recovery form with reclaim preferences directly from their phone. They can get estimated wait times and updates on baggage recovery process. And during that process, they can receive tips on things to do or places to go while they're waiting. And again, one of the main key features here is a lot of these tips and the wait time information can be personalized to someone's specific preferences or likes or history. Robert?
Yeah, again, one of the unknowns I mentioned, how long will the security line will be? How long will it take for you to retrieve your bag? I think that the systems that are being deployed more and more are able to measure where bags are, and taking that news feed of information and providing it back to the passenger. Their bag might be the first off the carousel, or it might be the last. If they knew they had 20 minutes, they might just take their time getting to baggage claim. They might stop and grab a bite to eat. They might go have a coffee, knowing that they know where their bag is and they know how long it'll take to get it. So it could potentially drive revenue at the airport for people who are heading out of the airport, not rushing and standing around with all the other people to retrieve their bag in some unknown number of minutes. So to me, I think it's an interesting area for all of us to research and try to figure out new ways to get that information back to the passengers.
Exactly. Thanks, Robert. So we'll go through now. I'll hand over to Robert, and Robert will talk about some solutions that we're conceptualizing in the airport operations space.
So I mentioned a lot of our research has been about the passenger, but we do realize that the operators, yourselves, as people who are running the airport, you're going to need new tools as well, because there's new pressures and there's new expectations. So we have these broken into two main areas, and part of it is, again, related to density and queue monitoring and management of social distancing and congestion areas. So giving the Airport Operations Center new sources of information so they can monitor congestion better and be able to deploy resources in a different way, again, for different purposes. You were managing resources to keep the number of people in a line before COVID as short as possible. Now you're trying to keep people spread out as much as possible. And again, as the pressure of higher volumes of passengers comes back, it's going to be a challenge to do that. So new tools to allow that. And so this is the airport density monitoring solution that we envision, there's different ways to monitor congestion within an airport. It can be through advanced video management. So using existing video management systems and being able to take that information and use that to know where congestion is. It can be monitoring mobile phone signals and seeing where people are located through their mobile phones, through Bluetooth. There can be thermal cameras that would be new technology that, again, would look for crowds of people and be able to report that back and provide the operator that new set of information in real time, again, with the goal to keep the airport operation and the social distancing of people as efficiently handled as possible, especially as the volumes come back. But the second area is related to turnaround of aircraft and being able to dynamically manage the turnaround process of aircraft. As the volumes of aircraft continue to grow at your airport, you're going to want to spread those aircraft out. You don't necessarily want to have two large aircraft coming into adjoining gates next to each other. So again, being able to manage as the aircraft volumes come back, the spreading out of those aircraft, being able to do that dynamically. And again, it's not just the aircraft turnaround process, but it could be you want to manage the baggage carousels and not have two flights coming in at adjoining baggage carousels. And this, again, is a short-term problem because eventually your gates will be full again. Your baggage carousels will be full again. But in the process, as this starts to come back, we expect that people want to be managing and spreading out aircraft and baggage carousels as much as possible, again, with the same end goal as keeping the passenger socially distanced and efficiently moving through the process. But we also realize with new procedures to decontaminate aircraft, there's going to be more pressure on being able to efficiently do turnaround. So again, there's new problems to be solved, and that's part of the research we're trying to do and working with yourselves to try to figure out those new problems that we can provide technology to help solve to get the airports back up and running and make them as busy as possible as soon as possible.
That's exactly right, Robert. Thank you very much for that. So at this point, I'm going to ask the AAA team again to run our secondary poll. So same as the first one, we're just going to review the last couple of concepts we went through, and then the AAA team will launch a poll. So we spoke about advanced gate management. We spoke about airport density monitoring. We spoke about a baggage claim ETA application, and an IDS dynamic airport wayfinding solution. So if I can ask the AAA team to launch the second poll, that'd be great. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you so much to the AAA team for that. So there's some of the concepts that the Digital Accelerator has been working on most recently. I was really excited and really happy to share those with you as key airport stakeholders and just get a little bit of feedback. So what are the next steps from here? So we run what we call a design partner program. What is that? It's a highly collaborative, close working relationship with many partners to understand their experience and develop software solutions that meet the needs of the entire industry. The key elements are, it's an ongoing customer and software development team relationship. The emphasis is on a deep understanding of the customer's end-to-end experience. It's an iterative engagement for collaborative prioritization of features and designs for a new product or service. And the solution is refined over time based on customer feedback at each stage, such as design, development, alpha, or beta. So you can see it's a 360-degree holistic process. So I know you're all really, really excited about potentially asking us more questions or participating. So how do we do that? It's very, very simple. Now you've heard all about the value of the DX. Firstly, you should consider where and how you may find value in the concepts we've shown you today. Then, if you decide you'd like to participate, please reach out directly to your regional Collins contact. In this case, that's me. I'll then start a conversation with you to further define your needs and challenges so the DX team have a better understanding of all of these. From there, the DX team will invite you to participate in the beta program or perhaps in user experience research projects. As this process is underway, you'll be asked for feedback on new concepts trialed at your location, and this input will be used to assess any required changes for the next major release, the 360-degree process. Robert, any final comments there?
No, Stu, and again, we're excited to work with all of you. All of you have different subsets of problems that maybe we haven't covered today. So again, we just like to understand what those might be, because if this isn't solving the problems for your passengers and your environment, please let us know other problems that you're having that maybe we need to reconsider and make our higher priority. So if you haven't seen today the most perfect problem solver for you, let's do know, and let's bring it forward and see if there's something we can do to help solve it.
Exactly, perfect, great words. Thank you, Robert. So thank you very much. As you can see, there's my phone number and email address on the slide there, or you can get in touch with me directly through the AAA. That's the end of our presentation, and I'll now throw back to the AAA team to see if there's any questions.
Thank you, Stu, and thank you, Rob, for that extremely interesting and educational presentation. Really, really appreciate that. We do have several questions actually that have come through, so that's always a good sign that people were paying attention and engaged. So we'll start with the first one. While biometrics would be a natural solution of reducing touch points, how will biometrics solve the problem when passengers wear masks? Every airport I recently travelled through were not using biometrics because of the requirement for passengers to wear masks. How do we solve that? And the solution can't be have PAX remove the masks.
Sure. Robert, did you want to answer this? I'm happy to take this one unless you want to.
No, go ahead, Stu.
Perfect. All right. Thanks very much for the question. Indeed, a very, very good question. And in answer to that, we have been finding that obviously we can only talk about our biometric solution. We can't talk about other ones, but we are finding that our biometric solution has enough data points from here up to actually still register accurate responses to digital queries. So I believe, and perhaps Robert might be able to step in with some better numbers, but I know our product management group in the US, with some live and some trial installations that we've got, are still finding it's 99.69% accuracy, even still with mask adoption.
Did you want to add anything else to that, Rob, or you're happy with that answer?
No, I think that's the most, it was surprising actually to find that there was still a high recognition rate even with the mask on. So I think the technology is allowing for this particular problem, and we're going to continue to do research, and we'll publish that data to give people that information. But at this point, that's what we're finding out is even with a mask on, there's still quite a few touch points visible that allows the biometric camera to accurately pick you up. And again, usually you're only comparing it against smaller sets of databases for people just traveling just that day at that airport. So you're not comparing the image to, you know, millions of people. They're using small subsets of databases. So I think it's much simpler to find that correlation.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
On to the next question. Is the flow management software dynamic enough to recognize that it has redirected a large number of passengers to an alternate bathroom area, that it doesn't create another area of density?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I think that's one of the key points behind using the AI and machine learning platforms to drive this. It is extremely dynamic. What we are developing will take into account where it has guided people to, not just in like say going to the bathroom, also things like while you wait. I think some of the suggestions were, go to the coffee club or go to the newsagents. It would also take into account it's just directed 40 people to a coffee club, so that's going to be near capacity. So these people that also like coffee, maybe we'll direct them more to Hudson's. And potentially as well, this also draws out, so another good question, it draws out a potential opportunity for monetization for the airport as well. We can have sponsored suggestions whereby we could have a tiering exactly the same as you do with any other advertising platform, any other commercial advertising platform. If you're a tier 1 advertiser, you can receive a higher percentage of suggestions that come through until it reaches that tipping point. So yes, in short answer, yes, it's definitely dynamic enough, and there's a lot of other logic in the background that we can tweak for a particular airport's needs as well. Robert, anything more you want to expand on with that?
No, I think that covered it very well.
Thanks, Stu. And another question. I hope I'm reading this correctly. I'm not too sure. So the question was on dynamic wayfinding, and it says, is crowded area relying on people also using the same app like Google Map does?
Well, it really depends on, again, how we launch the product. I wouldn't envisage it relying on any one particular type of technology. We are aware that there's lots of congestion monitoring and video feeds within an area. And so what we're envisaging is that these products will use multiple data sources as far as possible. If any system becomes too reliant on one data source, then that's clearly a flaw. And so, yeah, in answer to the question, no, we don't want to just rely on one data source. We want to rely on multiple data sources so we get the best picture as possible throughout the environment. I think that answers the question.
Yeah, and I think the other thing we haven't mentioned is, as much as we can, we want to use existing systems at the airports that are already there and just repurpose some of the data that might already exist. So we recognize that people just can't afford to go buy a bunch of new systems, new sensors. So I think there's available information, but working together, we just have to figure out what that is for a particular airport.
Okay, thank you so much. And just a couple more. This sounds very involved and potentially expensive. As a smaller regional port, how does this apply to me?
Sure. Well, I suppose the key things to remember, some of the key words that we brought up are these products are modular. And a lot of it is cloud-based and operating on consumer technology as well. And that modularity, realistically, what we're striving for is for smaller ports to be able to engage in smaller individual pieces of technology that don't cost a whole lot and have a whole lot of integration requirements. And so we also see this as I think I mentioned earlier, a really good opportunity for partnerships between airports and some of their airline customers as well, for some of that cost sharing piece among those customers. So we think there is definitely a place for regional ports with a lot of these concepts, to maybe pick up one or two little modular pieces on the way here and there, just to go and gauge the value proposition and the ROI, of course, before engaging in larger trials. Robert?
Yeah, I think one of the things you said that I want to highlight a little bit further is cloud-based solutions can provide the smaller airports with the same power without a lot of the heavy infrastructure that would typically be required to do some of that. So I think more and more our solutions are migrating to cloud-based solutions just for that purpose, and to be able to remotely monitor them, maintain them, not have large staffs of people on premise. So I think the cloud is really giving the smaller airports the same power that the larger airports have enjoyed for years.
That's great, and I certainly think that covers that question, and it's always really important to, I guess, highlight the different challenges seen at our regional airports when compared to our major colleagues. And for the final question,
100%.
What's the governmental role in driving change to enable domestic use of biometrics in a similar manner to the US? We don't have a national ID card system here.
That's very true. That is very true indeed. And so we've been working very closely with government on this for a long time now, both domestically and internationally. We are aware, I think since 2018, the Identity Matching Services Bill has been in and around Parliament. It's been tabled a few times. And so while there currently is no national standard document, I know some states, I know South Australia and ACT especially, have been doing a lot of work in gathering facial imagery for biometrics, and the Identity Matching Services Bill is getting closer and closer to getting passed, which will then give us a nationally mandated common standard for doing that. So with many customers we're talking to biometrics about domestically, we encourage them to consider biometrics in the international transport sense to start with, because you do have that document, you've got the passport and the passport image, and to really gauge the ROI in the international concept. As we move through to that Identity Matching Services Bill being passed, or if you're in one of those states where at a state level, the collection of facial recognition data has commenced, as I say, ACT, South Australia, and I think maybe Western Australia is doing it, off the top of my head, I may be wrong, then yeah, we definitely encourage trials using things like driver's licenses, which would be the most obvious for a national identity document moving forwards. But the tip would be to keep an eye on that Identity Matching Services Bill in Parliament. If you are a stakeholder that has connections into local government, keep pressing your local members. And obviously we're talking to the AAA now, so we also encourage you guys. We'd love to work with you guys some more to see that get pushed through, especially from an aviation sense, because that will really, really open the doors to biometric enablement domestically, which is that will be the real dam breaker, I think, in Australia.
Thank you so much, Stu. And that wraps up the questions for the webinar today. Once again, on behalf of the AAA, thank you, Stu. Thank you, Rob. I'm not sure of the time difference there, but I think it is nighttime where you are, Rob. So thank you so much for taking the time to dial in.
You're welcome, and I really enjoyed this, and thank you for letting us share some of our ideas, and we look forward to working with everyone. That this is a great, it's a great thing you're doing, Airport Safety Week, fantastic. So thank you for allowing us to be part of that.
No worries, you're very welcome. For everybody
thank
listening,
you so much. I'll just echo that. Thank you.
Thanks, Stu. For everybody listening, today's webinar recording will be available in Airport Alert that comes out on Thursday, and will also be emailed directly to all participants today. Thank you everyone for joining, and once again, Stu and Rob for taking the time to present. Airport Safety Week 2020 is off to a great start. Do remember that we are all in this together. Wednesday, the 21st of October at 11 AM will be our next webinar on safety awareness, prevention and response. And then our final webinar for Airport Safety Week 2020 will be Safety Management Systems presented by CASA on Thursday, the 22nd of October at 11 AM. Further details and registrations of these will be released shortly. Feel free to jump on to the Airport Safety Week website, as given earlier in the webinar, to see updates on those webinars. Please enjoy the remainder of your afternoon and week. Stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you online at our next webinar. Happy Airport Safety Week.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.